Right, if you are new to making your own yogurt, it can possibly seem like quite a daunting thing. I remember I started out making yogurt using the Easio yogurt maker and the sachets, and that is super simple because it's just a sachet, mix it up with water, leave it overnight, and you have yogurt. And that's perfect, and I love that method. I used it for a really long time. It was cheaper than buying yogurt at that stage. I'm not sure if it is now. I think it's probably pretty comparable actually. But the thing I love about making yogurt from scratch using milk is that it really does work out cheaper. And it's not quite so simple, but once you get the hang of the method, you can fit it into your day really easily. I will heat the milk first thing in the morning and cool it and then mix it up. And because it's all it's hands off, you heat it, then you cool it, and it takes maybe an hour if you just let it do it by itself. But at the same time, I'm making breakfast, making lunches. I'm in the kitchen anyway, so I'm right here. And then whisk it, pop it in the yogurt maker, and then leave it for the rest of the day. And then right before you go to bed, pop it in the fridge, and you've got yogurt in the morning. So it is, once you get the hang of it, it fits into your day really easily, and it's not a whole lot of work, especially if you're making more than 1 litre at a time. That's what I've found really useful lately, now that we're eating a lot more yogurt, is using my Instant Pot, which I will show you that method as well. And yeah, then you don't have to make it quite so frequently, which is good. But I understand the hesitation of some people not wanting to, it's milk. Milk stays in the fridge. So why would you warm it up and then leave it sitting on the bench for 12 hours? That just seems a little bit scary maybe if you're not used to the idea. But the thing is, it's all about fermenting, it's preserving, it's all those sorts of things that once you start to understand it and do it and practice it and kind of understand it a little bit more, you will know that it's actually totally fine. The bacteria, the things that are in the starter culture or in the old yogurt, you want to hold that for me? Keep it perfectly safe. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of leaving it on the bench for that long, because it's doing its thing, it's fermenting, it's turning into yogurt, and there's good bacteria. It's not bad stuff, it's all good. So nothing to worry about there, but I totally understand the hesitation. But again, it comes down to the same principles as with any sort of food preservation or just even eating and cooking and preparing food. Use your senses. If it looks off, if it smells off, if you're not quite sure, just chuck it. But you'll know, like yogurt, it'll taste like yogurt. A little bit tangy, but delicious. So all that being said, one more thing. Sometimes it just fails for no reason other than it just felt like it. And that can be frustrating, especially if you're just starting out your yogurt making journey. If you get a runny batch, a batch that doesn't set, it looks a little bit curdled or something, just biff it and start again. It does happen from time to time. I've been making yogurt using this method for years, and 95% of the time it works perfectly. Every now and then it throws me a curveball and just doesn't work. For some reason it doesn't set, it's runny. There's really no reason. It just happens. And yeah, it's annoying and it feels like a waste, but it's just one of those things. So let's get into it. Let me show you what you need to make yogurt. So it's very simple. I'll show you first the method using the yogurt maker. This is the most straightforward method. If you're just getting started out, it probably doesn't taste that good, huh? This is the way to go. This is a culture cupboard stainless steel yogurt maker. An Easio, one of those big Easio yogurt makers, works perfectly for this method as well. That's what I used to use. Then I was given one of these, and I really like it purely because it has a smaller footprint, really easy to clean, and it's nice. It looks nice on the bench. So that's what I use. But yeah, Easio yogurt maker works perfectly fine too. You need a jar to make the yogurt in. So I just use a 1 litre ball jar with a lid. Mason jars work. Plastic jars work fine too. I just use glass because it's what I have. But just the plastic containers that come with an Easio tub, with the Easio maker, they work perfectly as well. So just anything that is going to fit in your yogurt maker. You need a thermometer to check the temperature of the milk. I do offer a guide in the post about if you don't have a thermometer, but if you're going to be making yogurt, or even, I use this in my kitchen all the time. This is a barbecue one actually, I've got another one, but for checking the temperature of meat for anything, if you're making yogurt, this is really handy to have. And a pot to heat the milk in. I use the same pot every single time because I know a litre of milk will take 15 minutes. I do it on the same element, I put it to the same heat, so I know it takes exactly 15 minutes to heat and then 45 minutes to cool in this. So that's something that I can then just set the timer, and I sometimes don't even use the thermometer because I just know that that is pretty consistent for me. So saucepan, milk, I just use standard dark blue milk, doesn't matter what brand. You can use light blue milk if you want, it probably won't set up as thick. You can use UHT milk, you can use lactose-free milk, I've used that as well, and that works perfectly too. So, but yeah, standard blue top milk is what I use. Fresh cow's milk is not something I've used yet. I'm super keen, I need to get a source, and then I'll test it out for you. And then to culture the yogurt, you can use either, this is a batch, this is leftover from my last batch of yogurt, so it's still fresh, it's still within the week. Within a couple of weeks is still fine. So I separate it out when I've just made a new batch, because then that's untouched, it's unopened in the fridge, so it lasts a little bit longer. So that is what I will use to culture my next batch. I also like to keep a box of this on hand. This is a starter culture. It just comes in little sachets like this. This is the Culture Cupboard brand one. I find that I can reuse old yogurt probably, it depends, I don't know, 8 or 10 times. That batch will keep me going, and then it starts to get a little bit less thick, a little bit thinner. The set yogurt starts getting quite tangy, and just when it comes to it for our tastes, and I just think, okay, maybe we'll start again, then I will use one of these. These are also really handy to have on hand if you, like if I'm going away, we're not going to be home for a week or so, I don't worry about saving yogurt, or we'll just use what we've got, and then I'll start fresh when I come home. Or if you just happen to run out of yogurt, or your batch has gone bad for some reason, having some of these, just a packet of these, is really handy. I keep it in the freezer, makes them last longer, and yeah, just one of these sachets will culture a litre of milk. You can also use store-bought yogurt. You can just use anything plain unsweetened is essential, and with live cultures, which you can check on the back, there'll be a couple of cultures that you're looking for. That is what's going to culture your yogurt. So, with all that out of the way, let me show you how we do it. Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to start heating our milk. First thing we do is fill up, I don't want to tip it, fill up the jar. So I've got the jar I'm going to use in here, and I filled it up with hot water, just hot tap water, and I filled this up too, and I'll just pop the lid on, and that'll just warm that so that it can hold its nice warm temperature while it's incubating. So I'll just pop that to the side. And now, the other thing with the jars, a lot of places will say to sterilize your jars and things. I don't bother with that. I just make sure everything is nice and clean. So nice clean jars, nice clean utensils I'm using. I've never bothered sterilizing, and it's never been a problem. If you run into trouble with your yogurt not setting, try sterilizing your equipment, but it's never been an issue for me. I just keep it nice and clean. So, heating the milk. We're just going to do 1 litre. So I've actually got markers inside my pot, which is really handy. I don't know if you can see them, but I just pour in 1 litre. And yeah, so I'm going to pour in 1 litre of milk. And you can make less. You can do ½ litre at a time. You can do 2 litres at a time using this method. It'll just take either shorter or longer to heat. I put it over a medium heat. That seems to be right for me, that it doesn't burn on the bottom or anything, and doesn't overflow. And then I set my timer for 15 minutes because I know it takes 15 minutes in this pot, and that's how long it'll take to get to temperature, which is 85 degrees. And the reason we heat the milk is to kill off any bad bacteria in the milk, any bad bacteria that are going to compete with the good bacteria that are in the cultures that we're adding to actually make the yogurt. And it also denatures the proteins in the milk, which helps it to set. So you'll get a better end product if you have heated the milk. So we heat the milk to 85 degrees Celsius, take 15 minutes, and I'll show you what that looks like once we get there. Okay, so I've just taken it off the heat because you can see it's getting bubbles all around it. So it's almost boiling, but not quite. It's starting to form a little bit of a skin on there. And yeah, the bubbles, you can tell that's how it's at the right temperature. So it's 85 degrees. So now I've just taken it off the heat, and you can either just leave it like this to cool for 45 minutes or however long it takes. Or what I'm going to do is fill up a sink of cold water and give it a whisk, and then it'll only take about 5 minutes, and then we can move on. Okay, so I've had this in a sink full of cold water, and it's only taken about 5 minutes. I whisked it up a little bit, and now it's 45 degrees, which is what we want. Okay, so our milk is 45 degrees. The reason we call it to 45 degrees is because that is still warm enough to incubate, but cold enough that it won't kill all the good bacteria in the starter culture. So any hotter than that, and it's going to kill off all the good bacteria, which we don't want because then it won't turn into yogurt. Any colder than that, and it's not going to be warm enough to incubate and turn into yogurt properly. So at this point is where you will either add one of your sachets of culture or a couple of tablespoons of the yogurt from your last batch. So that's what I'm going to use. I am usually pretty generous with how much I put in. I find that sort of between probably even 3 and 4 tablespoons per litre of yogurt, litre of milk, gives you sort of a really nice thick yogurt, which I like. So give it a really good whisk. You want to whisk it all in. You do the same, you just sprinkle in the starter culture and just sprinkle it and just whisk it in really well too. And then once that's all whisked in, I just pour it right into the jar, which is still nice and warm. It got really foamy when I was whisking it, so it's pretty full. That's okay. You can just scoop the bubbles off the top if you want to. You don't have to, it doesn't actually matter. The bubbles won't turn into yogurt, they'll just be fluffy on the top. Just try to get all the milk out. Go. Right. And then pop the lid on the jar. You just want to put enough hot water in the bottom of the yogurt maker so that it will come up around the sides of the jar. So just hot tap water, doesn't need to be boiled water. The Easio yogurt maker is slightly different in that you fill it up and then you place like the little platform kind of in there for the jar to sit on. So I would just do the same in the Easio yogurt maker as what the instructions say. Just fill it up with boiling water would be fine underneath because it's not actually touching the jar. So do that and then pop the platform in and set the jar on top of that. Pop the lid on, and now we just leave this on the bench for sort of between 8 and 12 hours. 10 hours is kind of the sweet spot for me. That's how long it takes for my yogurt to set really well to the thickness that I like. And once it's set, take it out, put it in the fridge and let it cool completely, and then it's good to go. Also worth noting, sometimes I have made this in the morning, left it all day and forgotten to take it out at night to put it in the fridge and left it in here all night. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's still perfectly safe to eat. It might be a little bit tangier because it has cultured for longer, but it's perfectly fine. So don't stress too much about that. So yeah, we'll just leave this on the bench out of the way, and I will check back in and show you how it looks in 10 hours. So I've just taken out the yogurt from the yogurt maker, and it's been in there for, I think it's been in there for 9 hours. And look, it's set. It's not going anywhere. That has got a really good set on it, so it's perfect. It's just foamy on the top because it was bubbly from where I'd whisked it, but that's okay. That'll just you can just spoon that off, and yep, so it's all done. So I'm just going to put that in the fridge now, and it will chill overnight, and it'll thicken up even more. It'll be ready to eat in the morning. So the next method I'm going to show you, which has fast become my favourite and preferred method, purely because of how much I can make at a time, is making yogurt using my Instant Pot. So it's the exact same idea as making it with the yogurt maker. You heat the milk, you cool the milk, you add your culture, and then you incubate it. However, it can all be done in the Instant Pot, which is amazing. Really, really cool. So I have the Instant Pot. If you go back, I kind of touch on this in the Instant Pot module that we did back in January. Some versions of Instant Pots have a yogurt button. Some other brands, have a yogurt button. My crock pot one had a yogurt button, but it didn't have the same features. It kind of only has the incubation setting. This one has the ability to boil the milk to, well, not quite boil, but get it to that 85 degrees. So I'll show you on here. You press the yogurt button once, and it does normal 10 hours, that's incubation. And then press it twice and it starts flashing boil, so that's what you do to heat the milk. And it actually gives you a less option too for a lower temperature but longer incubation period. That's not, I don't use that. You can though. Yeah, and you can just go through them. So same idea. Pour in as much milk as you like into the inner pot. Make sure it's nice and clean. Hit boil and you're away. I would normally make 2 litres at a time in here. I'm just going to make one today because I've just made another litre in the yogurt maker, and I've also got a litre in the fridge already, so I just don't need that much milk right now. But it's the same no matter how much you're making. It's the exact same method. So I'll press yogurt twice until it reaches boil. You don't need to put the lid on now, and I'll just leave that to get up to 85 degrees, and it will actually stop when it's done. So it will, so that's it starting. Once it gets to boil, it will beep, it will say end, and I will know to check the temperature, make sure it's at 85 degrees. Right, so that took, I had to press it again, so it is, you can just pop your thermometer in there. I've actually just had it turned off for a few minutes, so it started dropping down already, but it was 85, which is good. So yeah, sometimes it doesn't quite get there. You just have to press boil again. That's what I had to do. It took another 5 minutes or so. So now I'm going to do what I did. You can just leave it in there, but to speed up the process, we'll just pop it in that sink of cold water. Just fill it up, give it a bit of a whisk, and that should cool down in about 5 minutes. Okay, so it's cooled down to 45 degrees. This time I'm going to use one of my starter sachets just to show you how it works. So you just open it up. Oops. And then just sprinkle it on. It's just a powder. And again, give it a good whisk. There we go. Now you've got 2 options for setting the yogurt. You can either transfer this into a jar and sit the jar in the Instant Pot if you want, or it can also go in a yogurt maker, or you can just leave it directly in the pot, which is actually what I've been doing lately. And then once it's incubated, just lift the pot out and put it straight in the fridge before transferring it into a jar. I just find if you leave it undisturbed while it is setting, while it's incubating and then cooling, it sets better, it sets thicker. So put the lid on. This is really important. I very, very strongly recommend having a second sealing ring for your Instant Pot if you're going to make yogurt in it, because the seals, even if you clean them, really hold smells. So the last thing, a couple of batches ago, I had made deviled sausages in my Instant Pot and then made yogurt in it the next day without even thinking about it. And I mean, it doesn't ruin the yogurt, it's still fine, but it does take on a little bit of the flavour, which is not really what you want. Deviled sausage flavoured yogurt is not my favourite. So if you can get a second sealing ring, I have 2. This is my red one that I keep for sweet things. So if I'm doing desserts or anything in there, it's mostly used for yogurt, but yeah, anything sort of sweet, use a different ring. So, culture is whisked in, lid goes on, press yogurt until it gets to the 10-hour normal mark. Again, you can play around, it'll take 8 hours, it'll be set in 8 hours. So you can adjust the time if you like. I find 10 hours to be perfect. You can go longer if you want as well. But yeah, 10 hours is perfect. And then once that has finished, and it will actually start, when it starts, you'll see, it counts up, so it doesn't count down. So it'll count up so you can see how long it has been on there for, which is quite useful if you wanted to check at maybe 8 hours and see, oh, okay, right, that's probably perfect for me. Take it out, then you know. But yeah, it'll just start counting up. You just leave it here, and then once it has finished incubating, we just take it out, pop it in the fridge, and it can cool overnight. Okie dokie. So it's been in there, you can see, for almost 9 hours. Just lift off the lid. And let's see, look at that. So that is totally set. Okay. So again, this one has the bubbles on the top, but that's just because we whisked it up in there with the starter. So I'm just going to cancel, just turn this off, and I'm just going to lift this out. You can transfer it into a jar now and then put the jar in the fridge, but I do find that it sets up better if you leave it undisturbed now. Just pop that, I'll just get a pot lid that fits over here, or just cover it with a bowl cover or a tea towel or something while you put it in the fridge, and yeah, let it set completely. Then it'll be nice and firm and all set in the morning, and then I'll transfer it into jars. I will probably transfer half of it, just keep it plain. This is when I would put a little bit of it in a smaller jar to keep for the next time I'm going to make yogurt, and whatever's left I will probably stir through some strawberry sauce or something to make flavoured yogurt for the kids, perhaps just for their lunch boxes. So there we go. Alright, so it's been sitting in the fridge overnight. I've got them both here. So this is the one from the yogurt maker, using the last batch of yogurt, and that is super thick, set really nicely. And then the Instant Pot one, the same, it's set up really nice, super thick, which is what you get from leaving it in the pot undisturbed while it's both incubating and cooling down. So at this point, this one just has the lid on it, and I pop it in the fridge. If this is the only one I've made, this is where I will take some out and put in a small little jar to keep separate for next time I'm going to make yogurt. I realise I've probably said a lot of these things a few times during the video, but just to really yeah, make sure if you just jump to a certain part of the video, all the information's there. And then the same with this. So I will just transfer this into a jar now, into a clean jar. I'm going to fill up this one, and then with whatever's left, I'm going to stir through some berry sauce to make yeah, flavoured yogurt. If you are, so I think, and I have said this before, so flavourings best to add at the end. At this point, now that it's cooled, stirs through much better and doesn't affect the finished like product of the yogurt. It doesn't, I find if you mix things in before it's had a chance to set properly when it's been in the fridge, it just doesn't set up quite so nice. Whereas this has been set, it's nice and solid, and you can mix through things without changing how the final product is. Vanilla beans would be the only exception. If I am making vanilla yogurt, I will stir through the vanilla beans before the yogurt even incubates, because that does not seem to have any impact on the final product. Just when I'm whisking in the culture, I will whisk in the vanilla beans as well and just leave it like that, and that sets up really nicely and gives the vanilla beans a really good chance to get a whole heap of flavour into the yogurt. So that's the only exception. So this, yep, I'm gonna dish it up. I'll show you. I actually made a chocolate one the other day, and I really like that. It's not quite like the thick chocolate pudding kind of calcium style ones. It's still got that real yogurt tang to it, which I really like. My kids are warming up to it. So I'll include the notes what I add into that, but it's just cocoa powder and maple syrup, or you can add like chocolate syrup as well if you want. What else do we like adding through? Jam, berry sauce. The recipe for the berry sauce is in the February water bath preserving content. That's a really good, that's pretty much our go-to for adding through yogurt. Otherwise, the other thing I really like doing is if I'm just making it in little containers or jars or something for the kids to take in their lunchbox, I'll just put in some plain yogurt and top it with frozen berries, and then they defrost a little bit during the day and also keep the yogurt cool in summer. And they sort of mash up enough that the kids can stir it through and make their own mixed berry yogurt, which they really love too. So the world is your oyster. Stewed fruit goes really well as well. Now you've got yogurt, you've got the tools to make it yourself, how to flavour it. And as well, I think if you're, my kids have always only known plain yogurt, unsweetened yogurt. If your kids really love bought yogurt and it's quite sweet, add sweetener. So it's very easy to add sweetener. You can just add some maple syrup, you can stir through some honey, you can add sugar, just whatever is going to work for your family's taste. It's still going to be better than buying yogurt. And even just like gradually, if you're wanting to make it less sweet, start with adding sweetener and then just slowly add a little bit less each time until you get used to it, if that's what you're wanting to do. Otherwise, a little bit of sweetener in yogurt is never a problem. It's still a really, really good healthy snack and we just love it. So any yogurt questions, make sure you fire away, ask below. I'll do my best to answer them. So now you've got the tools that you need to make your own dairy yogurt for a lot cheaper than you can buy it for. I hope you enjoy.